Page of the Standard newspaper, it says that Ruto scores on terror but fails in graft war. That is what you have. Ruto scores on terror but fails in graft war, from success in keeping terrorists out of cities to his zero tolerance to March demonstration deaths. President William Ruto, first state of the national security report was a mixed bag of fortunes. Now that is what we have here, and probably you can also take a look at what we have in terms of the numbers. We have got to close to 2 billion shillings was lost to cyber fraudsters. That is 322 million shillings recovered, and we also have that in 855 million cyber threats to critical information infrastructure. It goes on and on and on. And still on the front page, 12 dead in floods as relief efforts begin. This is what you have. Of course, this is a picture of Kisauni in Mombasa. Many families have been rendered homeless there. That is on front page of that. And on the side, you see the former president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, yesterday appearing for the first time in 4 months. And he said that you'll form the next government. Uhuru tells Azimio leaders, that is what you have here. He was in Mwangangi yesterday. Former president tells Azimio leaders to remain united because they have a big chance to form the next government in 2027. That continues there on the front page. And what do you have here? President Ruto reveals major wins and setbacks in his one-year reign. That is as far as it's concerned. Let me start with what we have. Bishmir Gakuya, Ruto scores on terror but fails in graft war. What do you make of this front page of the Standard?
One, let me say, once you have a score in terror, that's a major score.
Right.
Because we are very much aware that terror has been a big thorn in our flesh, because it can destabilize everything.
Right.
And when it is tamed, I believe it is a good progress. On an element of corruption, let me also say, I don't know who has been doing this affair, but to me, I would say that in fact, also corruption is being tackled. And unless you tell me what kind of corruption has been allowed to thrive, because I have not seen an element of corruption that has been left just to thrive without having interventions. Because anything that has cropped up, I have seen measures taken. And I have seen even the head of civil service writing to those officers that has issues in suspect, and where have been asked to drop themselves from their positions. So I still believe that the Ruto government is on course in fight against corruption, unless one will be able to convince me on otherwise.
Okay.
But I think we are in track, and the fight against corruption is on track. And those who are entrusted to fight the corruption are busy doing the same.
Okay.
Yes.
DG, this front page, Ruto scores on terror but fails in graft war.
I'm not sure what he has done as far as terror fighting is concerned, but if it is true he has scored on terror but failed on corruption, whoever has done that research could be also right, because you know that was not part of Kenya Kwanza campaign manifestation. Yes. They were not keen on fighting corruption, and that's why we are where we are, because we are being taxed too much and we are not seeing anything. In fact, the two members of parliament could tell you, if they are honest, they will tell you they have not even received their national government constituencies development funds. So it's I think it is I wouldn't call it a balancing act, but I will say that statement particularly is good for investors.
Yeah.
It is boosting investment confidence, and I'm sure if anyone thinking about East Africa, thinking about Kenya, reads that topic or title, I'm sure he or she will be positive about the region. But when it comes to corruption, it now loses meaning.
Yeah.
Because when you think of corruption is a cancer that destroys countries, destroys nations. And it is something that should be killed. Because I personally believe this country has resources. If we go by what happened in 2002, when the late president, the third president of the Republic of Kenya, Emilio Mwai Kibaki, came to power, this country was not collecting money, but he sealed some few loopholes, and then we saw monies trickling down to up to constituency level. We saw so many funds being introduced during the reign of President Kibaki, and there was a lot of development happening. Remember, even the CDF we are celebrating today started under President Mwai Kibaki.
Right.
Women development funds, youth development, youth enterprise development funds, and others like electricity, roads. All those kind of informal form of devolution started then. But today we are collecting a lot. Kenyans are suffering. There is no much that we are seeing. So I think that topic, scoring in terror and failing in I think I fail to understand.
DG, I'm reminded that we need to get a memo. You and I, we need to get a memo. We have got two godfathers around in studio. We need to get a memo. Why, Gakuya, you didn't tell us this was the dress code today, and even Raphael Wanjala, Mheshimiwa, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Why didn't you tell us? I mean, we look off.
I think they communicated.
You did communicate.
No, we caucused.
Yeah.
but we weren't aware that we are meeting a honorable member. We weren't aware that he will be part of
really
the
feel out of place. Next time we will style up.
In fact, it's good I've seen His Excellency. I've not seen His Excellency.
Welcome to the program. Raphael Wanjala, Member of Parliament representing the great people of Budalang'i. Would you experience any floods in your region so far?
Thank you.
Notorious.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me.
Karibu.
And thank you, viewers of KBC. I just want to remind Kenyans that KBC is one of our government institutions
Asante sana.
that must be supported by all.
Thank you.
Fortunately, up to now, we have not had floods as you have asked, but you never know. You know, we don't get floods in Budalang'i because it is raining in Budalang'i.
Yeah.
We get floods in Budalang'i because it is raining in Uasin Gishu, Cherangani, Mount Elgon, Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Kakamega, Nandi Hills, Kapsabet, all those, and all that water taken, directed to Budalang'i because we are on a lowland. So we have not experienced, but you never know. It may come during the day.
We hope it doesn't. We hope it doesn't.
But it's my prayer too that
Yes.
people of Budalang'i have suffered a lot. And when I see the experience other people are now going through, and now when Budalang'i will be talking about floods, possibly some people will be serious about it.
All right, take us on a break with this topic.
Now, you know, when they say Ruto scores on terror, first of all, when Ruto came into power, there was no terror. There
What do you
was
mean?
no,
We
we
had
had
some-
not
we had
been
some-
hit.
We had some cases of terrorism.
Where? We had not been hit. He has never arrested any terrorist. We have not been hit. So when they are giving him that score, I don't know how. Because terrorism is all over the world and is fought on a daily basis by everybody. But since before he came in, there was no terrorism, that we had not been hit. We had not been hit, and we have not been hit up to now. So how he is fighting, I don't know. On corruption, I want to agree with His Excellency. We are in a very, very, very awkward situation, and the Kenyans are regretting.
Yeah.
The Kenyans are regretting everywhere. Even those who voted for the president today, if you told them that you voted for the president, they will deny. Because things are so bad, and he's not ready to listen to anybody. He's busy shouting, talking every day. He has not had time to sit down, plan for the country, work for the country. He's either traveling, he lands in Kenya, he's never in the office, he runs around the country, then goes out of the country. He has become our agent of external employment, an employment that is not telling us that we want 100 engineers, we want 50 doctors, we don't know we want how many electricians.
Yes.
He's only telling us there are jobs in Saudi Arabia. We don't know whether he's also taking them, our boys and girls as maids, because that's what we know they do there. And those are countries that, of course, practice slave trade. Okay. So actually we are not doing well.
All right.
And the corruption has not been tackled completely.
Yes.
If you look at the way today, because of this economic hardship, the way policemen are harassing people in the villages and on the roads. Right now I asked myself.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. And we come back. I still want us to go through the front page of the Daily Nation, People Daily, and the rest. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with this. And welcome back. Mheshimiwa Wanjala says that he needs tea. Of course, that's by default. We all know where he comes from. All right? Director, some tea. Sana sana ile ya maziwa ile thick. All right, we continue with the front page of the Daily Nation here. After record taxes, state now eyes fees, fines. It says that President William Ruto's administration has now turned into focus on fees and fines paid to state agencies for various services, as the government now targets an additional 112 billion shillings on non-tax revenue to supplement tax revenues in the current financial year. And the government expects the various state departments to collect a record 431.2 billion shillings in appropriation in aid or fees, fines, and levies this year, explaining the disparate adjustments on charges for various services offered by the state. Now, we all know what really happened sometimes a week and a half ago, where there were some charges on the passports, the death certificates. We also had the issue to do with the death certificates, the registration of births at the immigration department, and that raised a lot of uproar. Thereafter, the CS also reviewed such charges, but that's what we have here. Still continues the front page. Uhuru to Ruto, leave me out of your mess. This is what the former president said. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday lashed out at his successor William Ruto for failing to deliver on his campaign pledges and blaming the Jubilee administration for the failures of his Kenya Kwanza government. He was in Mwingi yesterday for a church service. After record taxes, state eyes, fees, and fines. Mheshimiwa DG, let me start with you. What do you make of this? This is just probably what we've just talked about, the issue of taxes and high cost of living. Go ahead.
First and foremost, as an authority in international affairs, I do not know any single particular country that has developed as a result of high taxation regime. I'm keen and are following Kenyan case to see where it takes us. Number two is, I think in leadership, I can tell you, these members of parliament, even in their own CDF, where they are patrons, none here, and you can confirm, is everything within the office. This administration, through our head of state, respectively, could be the top diplomat. But ours is literally everything in the government. Today is in roads, tomorrow is in meteorological department. After that is, now, when you give professionals roles in your government, allow them to do what they are supposed to do.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to this high taxation, I don't know who is advising them. This will drive millions into poverty. You wait and see. Why am I saying so? shortly, what you'll see, if we have Company A, which is operating within East Africa and in Kenya, and we have this high taxation regime, we have this high level of corruption. And corruption has not started with this administration. It has been there. It is all over. But the policies of any particular government, what will happen in countries, their taxation regimes, and they will move to those countries. DRC is coming up very well, despite the conflicts in that particular country. We have Uganda, we have Rwanda, we have all these countries within East Africa. So what we are not being told clearly is our tax policies are unfavorable to business environment in this country.
What do you make of that, Mheshimiwa Gakuya?
One, what I would say is, as much as we would like to say this government is not tackling issue to do with corruption, we must identify and indicate what is corruption. Because we cannot just generalize and say this government is corrupt.
Right.
It is corrupt how?
You have to
just
zero it
indicate
down.
those corruption cases.
Yes.
Because that is only how I can be able just to be together with the panelists that yes, we are riding on the same pace. But when we just generalize that this government is corrupt, it's corrupt how? What is corrupted? Let us itemize these corruption cases. Which one and which one and which one? Yes, that the government has failed to tackle. Yes, we need to hear those cases. Number two, let me talk about taxes. Issue to do with taxes, fines, and fees. One, I also sympathize with the rest of the Kenyans, because for sure, the time is not very good for this, because we are just after the clamor of finance bill, where taxes were being raised, and I feel that in fact, also to move now to list these other small items, including what we call passport, IDs and birth certificates. Yeah. To me, it's not timely. It can be a considered case, but that has to be dropped. And I have seen a big advert here, which is inviting Kenyans to just put their memorandum and just indicate whether they are comfortable with that. And I'm sure majority of Kenyans will just respond by saying they are not ready for that. And I would just ask those and that particular interior ministry just to drop that particular idea for now. It can work, but not now. Let the economy grow fast. And let Kenyans also just flex in this particular burden they are in for now. Okay. Because I believe we need also to do something in the area of fuel. And fuel cannot be allowed to move over and above the seal it is currently. I am pleased to hear the president indicating that in the next 6 months, there will not be those fragmented kind of cost of fuel. And if that can be the case, the better. You know, the CS came and it just broke our hearts when he indicated that actually the fuel will head up to 300 shillings. And then I was shocked to learn that our neighbors are dropping and us, we are just giving Kenyans no single hope on this. But I would like to say, yes, as much as as Mio has been putting this as a case of G2G and wanted to know what were the agreement between me, I would say also I have not seen this agreement. Yeah. But I don't belong to this committee of energy. But we have requested them to table those details so that we can understand what are the nitty-gritty in that particular agreement. Yeah. And what are we going to gain out of it. But I would say, yes, if it has slowed down the pressure for Dora, it's good for the country. Yes.
Very well. Raphael Wanjala?
You know, when you are telling us that you want us to segment corruption where it is and how, it is now open.
You cannot tell us the police officers are corrupt.
The police officers
are
operating along the roads. You just see this is pure corruption. Nobody's arraigned in court, but they're just collecting money, stopping every vehicle, that's especially the PSV vehicles. Now you can see, when you want to see the corruption that is coming about, is the number of harambes that are being done by those people in the government and the amount of money they are contributing. Those ones who are not even able to give 20,000 in harambe, they are able to give 500,000 in harambe. Like the other day in Western, I saw Honorable Moses Kuria giving 700,000 in one harambe. Then you can see others going around giving 1 million every harambe. They do sometimes 3 or 2 harambes every weekend. Then you just now see this is now corruption coming back. Because associate that contribution of those fellows with the amount of money they earn as a salary. Like in Western, when I saw Honorable our whip Osoro contributing one harambe, he was contributing 500,000, and his salary is 460 something thousand. And then before that is before deduction.
Someone would argue that he works. You have got some side hustle. You have some
my
business
work,
running.
my money is my money.
Yeah.
It cannot just be free, because it requires to be plowed back.
Yeah.
To also to revitalize my business. Not always to be going there with the draw, go and throw it out. No.
But as politicians, you know how you run this business. You know.
No.
You know how to do
if
it.
You can say that's the way you indicators of corruption that comes in. Even the government projects are not completed because of corruption. So that when they come up with some variations. That's why you find even if you are doing with government business, you are not paid. Now, I want to tell you that even as we are talking today, Kenyans, I don't know how their students will go back to school because of what you are seeing there. And now when, and I agree with His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, that in the era where we are, we started with free primary education. We came to secondary. We are now supposed to have freed it completely and then go to university.
Yeah.
Now, in the university, the system they came up with, it came to sideline other communities. Like the students from Budalang'i, whose parents are very poor, all of them who are called to universities from Budalang'i, they have placed in a category that their parents will pay a lot of money, which they are cannot afford.
What's the figure?
They are telling me they want their parents to be paying 50,000 per semester.
Okay.
Which they cannot afford. So I've compiled the list. I want to go and ask. But then you find those ones who have shares in the government, where they come from, they are completely considered to be very poor, and the government is paying everything for them.
Yeah.
So this system was brought to alienate other communities and then support those ones who have shares in the government. Because the issue of shares is not something people should play around with. It is something people have sat, agreed, and they are implementing it. Although we will be told no. Now, as he has talked of our president telling us about there is no corruption on G&G. You know, it is this very, very president who told us that when they negotiate fuel, government to government, it will be low. This government got fuel when it was at 120. It is now 217 and some cents. Now it went up. This is the very government that told us that they are going to lower the president, that the dollar will go down. The dollar has escalated almost 160 now. He has never told us this. The very president who told us that there will be no El Nino. Today is ravaging the whole country. This is the, you know, even you count the number of lies the whole president has cheated Kenyans, then you ask yourself now, what kind of a leader is this? That the confidence has been eroded. We have no confidence in him. In fact, even we as members of parliament, we have failed. We have really failed Kenyans. And you know, I was telling these members of parliament during the voting time, when they brought that we increase the VAT from 8 to 16. You know, I told them, the president will distance himself from this issue of taxes because taxes are passed by parliament. You go to State House, you are scolded, you are told I don't know what, you are blackmailed, then you come here and vote. But after voting is passed over to people who voted for you.
Okay.
Those are the people who are going to suffer. Then the president will run away from you.
Did he tell you anything during voting?
He already told them that taxes go to parliament.
Did he tell you something? Mheshimiwa Wanjala is saying that he told you something. Were you...
You can just clarify where. But as much as Honorable Wanjala want to be at the highest gear of bickering, I will tell him, currently and the current system we have, we are all in government. It's only that they are the minority and the majority. Correct. But they are all in government. So there is nobody that you can now accuse the finger to. The floor of the house is where things happen. If you think that something is wrong, condemn it on the floor. Don't condemn it when it is already passed.
Yeah.
Make sure that in fact you mobilize as much as possible. Make sure that the agenda is dropped so that it cannot become a law. But once it becomes a law, it affects everybody and every corner of the country. Number two, when Wanjala want to tell us that the president has been lying, me, this one, I am not in his support. Because one, he must also understand how this country was being taken over by. It was on a sort of state. Because this country was taken over when the debts were at the top seal and where there was a red flag. And those debts are being managed by the current regime. Once we want to tell Kenyans that we don't know where the money is going, we must tell Kenyans that actually the biggest handle that this government is doing is to manage those debts.
Yeah.
Number two, the government has another duty to make sure that the default units got their dues. Number three, it has to serve other Kenyans that actually have require civil services because they need their salaries. And when we want to say that in fact nothing is happening, it's like we don't know where the money is going. But the money is going to those directions. One, if there are those people, I can just bring a point to them, is the county government. Because after they have defaulted the money, and currently they have not been clamor, it means that actually the money has gone to their accounts. But they should be resounding and giving back to Kenyans down there so that the government can be seen working. But when this money is not coming out, the money is devolved and the money is not coming out again, then it means it's like we inherited what we call the current expenditure or through. It is these counties that should be making Kenya to understand that there is something changing at our second tier, which is the county government.
Yeah.
Number two, do you want to tell this government, because it really inherited this debt, that they should just watch it go, or does the other government have a ability to make sure that actually these liabilities have been taken care of? Because any government that walks out, the one that comes in undertakes all those liabilities, and therefore it's a duty for the current to make sure that they manage all these debts. Currently, we have a 300 billion euro bond that is coming to mature. And we are not expecting angels to come and see this. It has to be this government which has to find its mechanism to handle that.
That's exactly what's on the front page of the People Daily. Stop blame game. Uhuru demands. That's what's there. What we're talking about.
Course, yes.
Retired president hits out at the government officials who blame his Jubilee administration over every time they run into problems. Kalonzo, that's what they are.
Who is in this government that was not in the previous government? Who is running this government that was not in the previous government?
And
this government that is there is just extension of the previous government. Ruto was a deputy president for 10 years. When they were taking those Eurobonds, was he not there? Did he not support it when we opposed? There is nothing that has happened that Ruto does not know. It is an extension of the previous regime. They should stop blaming Uhuru. I agree with Uhuru.
But the back stops with the president.
The back stops with the president.
Exactly, not the deputy.
Sorry?
Yeah, the back stops with the president.
Now he's the president. The back stops with him. to sort out those issues.
So we can say that it's okay to blame the previous
There is
administration?
nothing they did that they didn't sit in a cabinet and resolve it. He was part of it. We told him, if you are not satisfied, resign. He never resigned. Let him just carry the same cross. And
Okay. DG, go ahead.
There was no worse scenario than the way President Kibaki took over the government from the previous administration. Remember, the last 10 years of President Moi,
Yes.
he had been denied financial assistance, loans by international development partners. Remember, again, even our multilateralism in this country then was literally dead. But President Kibaki came in. We did not hear these blame games. Back in Machakos, where I come from, there are challenges that we inherited. You have never heard my governor or anybody else in that administration claim that we inherited dysfunctional government. We inherited pending bills to a tune of over 3 billion. Those are challenges we need to tackle because we are there. So this, at the height of campaigns, I met Mheshimiwa along the streets here in this city, and I congratulated him for his position because literally they were being harassed left, right. Actually, I just bumped at him. And since I knew him,
How
he
was
was
he
my friend.
during that time?
No,
Was he
everything
looking
was
okay, or
no, everything was in
He looked
campaigns.
impressed.
I was in all focus was in campaign, and I congratulated him. But now that they are in government, I think they should not be blaming the previous administration. Tackle any challenge. Tackle any challenge that comes. Government is perpetual. It doesn't matter who is there. You have to tackle the challenges of the day.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is, allow me to send my condolences to these KRA employees who were swept away and died in Mombasa due to these fledgling rains. People relaxed. Government institutions relaxed because we were told there is no El Nino. And the government has not seen it fit to apologize. The government has not seen it fit to come to the aid of these people. They have been left to be hated by the county governments, organizations like Red Cross. It is uncalled for. Yet, they are collecting, these are high taxes. They are collecting a lot of millions. They need to focus on the help Kenyans. Now, there is something has been said here, touching on county government. That we are being given money, we are not doing much. Much more. I think from where you sit, counties are doing a lot. It is only that we are not talking much about it. But I can tell you a lot is happening on the grassroots. The only bit, both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, we were saying during campaigns, the minimum we will give to our counties is 35% of the revenue will go to counties. All the devolved functions were supposed to have been devolved within the first 6 months. We have sat with the head of state and his deputy severally, and we have been given promise 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 3 months, nothing is forthcoming. That increment is not there. But congratulations to the government. Comment anything good that is done to be objective. By the end of the last financial year, all the funds, although they did it at the 11th hour, and then they started again blaming us the following day of not absorbing the money in the development, they brought it till the end of financial year, which we commend them because we crossed over the financial year without any arrears. But I can tell you, Mheshimiwa, since then, we have not received anything else. We are still waiting the same way the CDF is waiting.
The same way even allowances, we are not paid in parliament.
So, Mheshimiwa, when you are saying, when we are saying here we have a problem, which needs to be told Kenyans as it is, I think we are real and we mean it. This is not politics. These are real challenges facing Kenyans, and we must talk about them openly.
Mheshimiwa, make or break as Ruto Raila talks enter final stretch. Mheshimiwa Gakuya, it said that Azimio coalition demanded VAT and other taxes on fuel to cut at least 8%, and it continues to say that Azimio demanded more, and that brought a lot of disagreements. That happened last week in Stony Athi. They could not agree, but the deadline is on 26th. Can we say that the talks is deemed to fail, Mheshimiwa?
One is that those who are at the panel of this discussion, I think they should put the country at the top. Other side shows aside. Because at the point we are, it's like the talks were on and has been always going on well, but has come to a point where at the tail end, it's like there is a poison which has been instilled, which it seems to be diverting the whole scenario. And there are some demands that may be put on the table, and the demands might be most likely break the whole or bring the whole issue to a stalemate. And my simple advice to those party leaders. Now let me talk about, even though the talks have been spearheaded by Kalonzo Musyoka, but the boss is Raila Odinga and the head of state. The way they sat and agreed on forming an outside parliament bilateral talks, they should find themselves a chance and then take themselves back to that universe and take the interests of this country at the top. Decide whether they are moving to a stalemate of this discussion or whether they are moving to a clear opener to this discussion. One, this country is in limbo in terms of now the IBC. We cannot have the country without an IBC, where we have constituencies that actually requires to elect their members of parliament, like Banisa.
Yes.
We have also members of MCAs who have who are gone, and where replacement has to be done. And number two, we have an issue of determination of our boundaries, which is coming to be overtaken by time. And these are very serious issues that should be given a consideration. I believe that if there are issues that can peg these talks behind, those issues can be put aside. And they can be able to clear a part that is already agreed upon. And let Kenyans feel comfort of those. Because they are serious and dear ones, and especially that one for IBC. And I think anybody who does not see that particular lacuna is only somebody who is not putting this country at the top. And therefore, the wisdom of the two leaders will guide, because the demands may break the talks. But to the back of their mind, I believe that actually none of them is really want to see this country going to what we call to a dark corner. So let us move this country to that dark corner. Let us agree on what is already agreed on the table, and let us start implementing that. If there are issues that are pending that are not agreed upon, let them give in a room. They can also ask for more extension of time and discuss those few things that are not agreed upon.
Okay.
But for those agreed upon, let them given a chance, and let the parliament implement that.
There is no agreement, Mheshimiwa Wanjala, because it said that Raila Odinga has vowed that he will not sign the bipartisan agreement if the issue of high cost of living is not tackled and addressed. That's according to what Kalonzo Musyoka said. It also says that the audit of the 2022 presidential results will not be audited. There is no signing of that document. It continues as much as that is happening. And again, the most important one is now the housing levy, also there. Is Azimio introducing new demands at the 11th hour?
The reason why we went into those talks were as a result of the very, very issues that Raila is talking about. The auditing of IBC, the high cost of living, and many others he's mentioning.
Yes,
there.
the audit of
so there's totally
the results, right?
Nothing new that he's bringing on the table. And what was the priority? You know, as much as we fight for electoral justice, but the people who vote for us, their lives are also at stake. They have nothing to eat. They are not able to take their children to school. They are suffering. They go to hospital. There are no medicine and so on. And they cannot afford even a meal.
Yeah.
So it was equally our priority, and those are some of the things that would move possibly the masses to the streets. Now, if we go as politicians and we only confine ourselves and get the IBC sorted out, I don't know what sorted out, and we leave out high cost of living, then you know Raila has been a champion of those underprivileged. And that is, he has fought it from China.
Let me interrogate this. Whenever you sit as PG, Azimio, what is your formula of tackling the high cost of living that probably you've presented to the bipartisan talks team?
One, we are just telling them, just return, just reduce to 8% fuel. Fuel has escalated everything. Just reduce it. Then deal with the issue of housing. Which houses are you telling us that you are deducting everybody's money? Even the civil servants are not comfortable. I know even you people, you are suffering here because they have raided your salaries. When you go to NHIF, the card is not even working. You cannot be treated. Yeah, we are just in a mess. So these are the issues that we need to tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is no way we are going to agree to those agreements, even me. I agree with him if they want extension of time to discuss those things. Let them come and ask. But there's no way we'll agree to those agreements without the cost of living tackled. Because
extension of time is going to put Kenyans
people Budalang'i are suffering.
In a moment of despair and of course suspense. Mheshimiwa, go ahead.
You know, Lord Acton once said, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think we have two formations here, political formations. One has the interests of Kenyans at heart. Another one, I think they are exercising power, not even ruling, not even leading. And that is very dangerous. Why am I saying this? The whole of all these demonstrations, the whole of the calm now in the country has everything to do with the cost of living. Issues Kenya's centered. Now, in this case, if you are not discussing the cost of living today, and you can see the government is so thirsty, is only focused on taxation, not even looking into the welfare of the civil servants in this country. They just want to raid and get rid of everything. In fact, given time, Kenya Kwanza might want you work and month end you remit that money to them. So in this case,
that would be extreme.
If we are, but that is what they are doing. That's what they are doing. The best, you know, the government all over the world, not in Kenya, governments exist to offer basic public services. Now, for the first time, we are being asked to pay for those basics when the government exists to provide for them. So in this case, if the cost of living is not in the agenda, I've been accompanying Azimio leaders from across. Sometimes whenever they come into to the region or they go and we happen to be there, I've seen, ask these MPs and they will tell you even in their constituencies, Kenyans are demanding, put this one into the agenda. Yesterday I saw people literally block the fourth president of this country and, God willing, the sixth president of Kenya. They were blocked and the people were very categorical. They don't want these handouts. They want cost of living being the first agenda in this National Dialogue Committee. Now, you have asked which agenda do we have, and whenever we meet as a coalition,
yes,
do we discuss these things? We discuss. Ask Honorable Wanjala, he will tell you. Use the policies Raila and Kibaki used of expanding taxation bracket. Let those absconding, those who are looting our funds and mismanaging our funds, stop. And it is only the national government that can play that role. So in this case, if you expand the taxation bracket, so many Kenyans will pay, and we will have enough for development, we will have enough for the operations of the government, and we will stop taxing Kenyan. Now we should be cautioning Kenyans from this high cost of living. Instead, we are just putting millions into poverty by putting policies that are hurting Kenyans, like taxation regime. I rest my case.
You rest your case. Mheshimiwa Gakuya, do you think Azimio is demanding too much?
There is one thing that actually I would like them to be very objective, that they also do live in this country.
Right.
They are not foreigners. So they understand how, where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are heading to. One, let us agree in one thing. Whether we like it or not, there are those things that we must seal at a time. Last regime borrowed up the tune of 9 trillion. Do you have asked yourself the reason why? If the last regime was saving money that they were collecting in terms of revenue, do you think that there was any interest of borrowing to that tune? The answer is no. They could be sorting themselves with the savings that they could be correcting. It tells you in the kitty there was nothing remaining as a saving, and that's why there was that appetite of such borrowing, because the country could not stagnate just to feed their people without developing. And that particular element of developing is where William Ruto is trying to break at this moment. And the taxes that maybe he's raising is just to create that room, because in case he does not look for an alternative measure, it tells you that he must also run the government in the same scenario that as the regime was. And he must end up at the tune of another 9 trillion, which will double to 18. How can he remove himself out of that basket? Unless there is a miracle. There is no any other way that the government can survive without some taxes. So raising of those taxes are just to give those kind of measures, just to make sure that the government is saving something which can be taken to development.
Okay.
Otherwise, let us learn from that regime.
So what are we looking at after 26th? Because I'm so sure there will be no more extension after 26th.
In this particular case of bilateral talks, whether there will be an agreement or not, the country is not going to migrate. Kenya will remain. Whether people will not come back to the streets, they can come back to the streets, because there are those things that they may try to push, and they probably don't go to be achieved. Because you can tell, there's no way you tell the president, remove this what we call housing levy. This housing levy is what is now, I can say, is creating some kind of jobs in what we call those local markets. And if this particular levy now is removed, it is told us that that particular project of housing is already shut out. Number two, remove now this particular levy for fuel. That particular money is the money that we are putting to the production in terms of reducing fertilizers to our farmers. It tells us that in fact that money is not going to be fitted to that particular purpose, and then we'll bring it back to I'm so sure Mheshimiwa Wanjala is not amused, because from Nairobi to Budalang'i is not. Why not?
I'm not.
Probably he's not a farmer, but personally I'm a farmer. I am a farmer. I does what we call tea. I does coffee, and I am sure that in fact the subsidy for what we call fertilizer is key. And putting this particular subsidy to production is more productive other than putting it to this consumption.
I want to finalize with you, gentlemen, from both of them here.
First of all, I want to say this.
Yes. What is the way forward? Because it's now not so okay.
First of all, when we are talking of housing, I was in Rwanda 1 month ago. They are building houses for assembling people, move them from the villages, bring them together, give them the necessary amenities, and so on. They're not taxing Kenyans. Uhuru was building houses. Kibaki built houses, those ones that are in Kibera. He never taxed us. And even the launches Ruto has been doing were Uhuru's projects, but he never taxed us. Where did Ruto think that he must tax us again to build houses? You know, those are the issues. These gentlemen are not telling us. And I want to say this. You know, the parliament today, not the parliament I was in. I came in 1997. Now, I came in 1997 to 2002, then 2002 to 2007. Now, 2013 brought in, 2010 constitution brought in 2013 parliament, where we don't have opposition, but we have minority and majority.
Right.
All of us doing same thing, oversight, legislation, and representation. These gentlemen who are in majority, I don't know where they went to learn that they become the agents of government to protect the government. Yet the people they are supposed to protect are outside there. They are supposed to represent them. They are supposed to oversight the government on their behalf and legislate. So them defending the government, I find it...
That is an unwritten rule. I mean, you have to... You know this, from the bullfighting land, you have to support your bull, however bad it is.
The people who voted for them is not the government.
Right.
It's not the government. The government did not vote for them, but the people whom we say are suffering are the ones who voted for them. So they are supposed always to protect these people. So what I want to say this is that even imagine it is Ruto he was on the TV yesterday telling us how he's going to Germany, how they had talked to bring 200,000 jobs. The very poor young girls and boys he wants to take outside there, when they marry, you come here with your wife, they tax that wife 200,000. And then the children you gave birth when you were there, each one of them will have again to pay.
I believe CS Kithure Kindiki reviewed that, and probably we are now happy. We are now happy up to this particular point.
No, it's something they are going to revisit, and they will be called in the State House, and then they will be read, rioting act. They will come and pass it.
Okay, DJ Tumalizie. I hope you're not going to be taxed.
I want to say,
it is important to state very clearly that, in fact, once you got a good job outside there,
right,
and you earn a lot, when you come back home, just pay something.
Okay. Right.
I think
I'm told we're running out of time.
Yes. I think I would say the following. One is the late Pan-Africanists. And President Nelson Mandela once said, where you stand depends on where you sat. I think I will ask maybe parliamentarians present to provide us with a list, because we have been hearing this of foreign lists. Yes, very fast.
Right, I'm told something is happening somewhere.
Yes, very fast, to provide the list. The list of these foreign jobs, because we have been hearing these talks, jobs from this country, from Canada. Canada refuses. We are told elsewhere, Wanakata. So we need to see, so that we can establish it does not turn out to be a lie just like the rest.
Thank you.
Kenya is treading on a very dangerous grounds. We have seen kidnappings in this country that has never been witnessed before. And you wonder sometimes, are we led, do we have mafia in this country? Do we have criminal gangs in this country? Or what is happening?
The government has scored the high.
No, I can't agree with that. Because we saw what happened to this Rai group founder. And we have been seeing these kidnappings, including the 7 billion oil saga. Somebody is being kidnapped, held incommunicado for days. I think that is very dangerous. Number two, and almost the last one. The last one.
Okay.
The last one.
All right.
You know, we have another state of affairs that is very, very much of concern to this country. Okay. You see demolitions in Mavoko. Court does a ruling today, and there is no even court order to demolish, and then you go demolishing houses belongs to thousands of people, including almost 40 churches. And Kenya Kwanza is known to have used religious organizations in this country when they were campaigning. But even consulting the bishops to even remove those charges, that did not happen. It is not fair.
I will be fired. Will you give me a job?
Sorry?
If you continue after this.
Oh, sorry. sorry.
Thank you so much for joining us. Deputy Governor, Machakos County, representing Machakos, Deputy Governor, thank you so much for joining us. Francis Mwangangi, Gakuya James, Embakasi North Member of Parliament, as well as man from the Ingoland. He called himself Wanjala himself. Thank you so much, Umomi, for coming. All right, that's where we wrap it up. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Good morning. My name is Victor Oloo. Thank you so much.